Hey, welcome back to another Patreon exclusive video. Today I'm going to walk you through my general process for creating my mood board for the month of March. I am using photos from Pinterest and I will be using Canva to create my mood board. In case you're looking for similar things, but this photo right here is kind of where it all starts. I've never had to put to words how I go about making a mood board, but typically I will go down one or two paths. One, I will start with a photo that just kind of strikes inspiration, which is more or less what happened for March. Or I will search for things to create a visual of a goal that I have set for myself. And you'll see in some of my search terms, some of these are a little bit of both, but typically I'll search through my home screen or some of my previous pins. I do have a board that I just call mood board. So if I see a really aesthetic photo that kind of speaks to me, I will save it there. I do want to point out that Pinterest is kind of sketch for taking photos for mood boards because you don't know who owns that photo, and a lot of these things are reposted, so do keep that in mind. So I just stuck with Pinterest this time to keep it simpler, but I do oftentimes use my own photos, or I will get pictures off of Unsplash as well. So those are a couple other resources for you to maybe check out. But that first photo was somewhere in Japan. I really love the color palette. It reminded me of my blue Travelers Company passport that I just moved into recently, and that's kind of what started it off. But some of the things I'm searching are more goal related. I have a lot of fitness goals for March, just trying to get more active, and I'm getting back into running again. So you see me searching for things that kind of would pertain to that. I think I end up scrapping this and going with something else, but in general, once I find something that sort of hits that mood, then I will just try and match colors to that. So some of the key search terms that I will use is the word aesthetic. Aesthetic is my Pinterest hack if I'm looking for finding a photo that's going to fit a particular vibe. So for example, right now I'm looking at hiking aesthetic because I'm trying to get outside more. It's spring where I'm at, and my husband and I really love hiking, and we're trying to get as much of that in before the weather gets unbearably hot here in the next couple months. So we're trying to take advantage of this cool spring weather that we are having right now. And aesthetic kind of helps me find the type of photos that I'm looking for a little bit better. Sometimes if you just search hiking, there'll be a ton of guides that come up on Pinterest. So aesthetic, I find I get more photo results, if that makes sense. So right now I'm searching up some sort of visual to go along with website, because one of my goals is to do some research into creating a website for Lindsay Scribbles. I want to open a secret shop sometime in Q2, so that would just be password protected for patrons, so you guys would be able to shop from some physical inventory for me. I think I end up scrapping this idea for the mood board, but I guess sneak peek into something that I'm looking into for the future. One other thing I've been really into is urban sketching. So I have been binge watching urban sketching and watercoloring content on YouTube, and I'm obsessed. I'm not very good at drawing people. I just avoid it altogether, to be honest, but I really love drawing buildings and objects, and I'm not very good at it, but now I'm just obsessed with trying this. So that was something I definitely wanted to include. I actually ended up picking up a watercolor sketchbook from Moleskine in a pocket size. I'll talk about that in my monthly memo for March because that did go into my budget. But that was something that I ended up finding a photo to kind of emulate that, because that's something that I want to try. Another thing I search here is Baumkuchen Truly Yours, because I told myself if I was in Passport Traveler's Notebook for a year, I would finally allow myself to get a custom. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I thought I would just find a picture to kind of keep that in mind, because March is my 1-year Passport bullet journal anniversary officially. So I've done it. I cannot believe that I've been using this for a year, off and on, mind. Yeah, I know I haven't been consistent with it for a year, but it's been in my rotation. So I'm looking for more Passport notebooks. I always get really excited when I see my own photos or content over on Pinterest. I was like, that's me. But in general, I think I'm trying to stick with passport again for the month of March. And once I have all my photos, I'm gonna do a passport sized photo mood board. So I only need like 6 photos, if not more like 4 because of the sizing. But then what I do is I go over to Canva. And I typically do this on my computer. This is my first time trying the app. I'm doing this on my iPad this time around because it was just like late at night and I was like, you know what, I want a mood board. So it was kind of a last minute thing. And I choose a custom size and then make sure to change the drop down on the right from pixels to inches. And then I'm going with a 3x4-inch canvas, if I remember right. We'll see that here on screen shortly, but I like to make my images just a little bit smaller than my page size because otherwise sometimes things get to be a bit of a tight fit. And I'm going to be printing this on sticker paper, cutting it out and putting it in my planner. So yeah, I went with 3.5 by 4.5, which is just a little bit smaller than my passport size. And if you don't select inches first, it's going to reset it to pixels. So keep that in mind. Do as I say, not as I do. I do use the free version. From here, I go to uploads and then I go to my photo library and I'm selecting the images that I downloaded. So you can see I have 6 of them. So we're gonna just play around and see how we can get them to fit. I don't do any sort of crazy measuring. It's really just sort of moving things around until it looks like it's about center. Canva will kind of like smart snap these things for you. So usually I'll put one thing in the corner and kind of size it until it hits that like middle point. Like the line will kind of start to highlight. But I'm dragging in my photos, and when it comes to putting the pictures down, the main thing I'm looking at is, do the colors coordinate? Can I get the sizing to kind of give myself a tile effect? But then also my general pattern is I will make like a checkered board. I naturally will just kind of pull some photos, some with a darker background, some with a lighter background. So that watercolor one up top I consider to be a lighter, so diagonal from it I want to do another sort of lighter background photo. So this picture of the passport, I'm kind of thinking that's where that will go, and I'll just sort of move the photos around to see what will fit. Because this is such a small canvas size, I oftentimes will have to cut a photo when it comes to putting these things in if I can't get it to crop nicely. So the photo I'm putting in right now is the one that kind of started the mood board off, and that is definitely like a darker color. So using that, and I personally don't like when my photos overlap, so this is just sort of like an aesthetic choice for me. So I will kind of crop the photos and move them around until I feel like it looks right without any, one photo kind of overlapping over the other. But that looks really cool as well. It's just my personal preference. I don't quite care for it. I will crop some of the images too. I'll make some of the things a little bit shorter just to kind of try and make it work out. And it's just sort of a lot of like plug and play at this point until I feel like I like how things look. Using the app was actually pretty easy. I was surprised. Normally I would go for the website on my computer, and I think next time I'll probably stick with that, but it did work out pretty well actually. And now I'm just sort of messing with how they are all laid out. And that is the mood board done. So then what I will do is I will save it as a photo, or I will save it, you can do download, print PDF, and then add crop marks, and that will give you like a letter size page with the cut marks that you might need. So here with the save as PDF print, check crop marks and bleed, and then that will give you the PDF with the cut marks, just depending on how you would prefer to do it. If you want to use just like the actual image and put that in a different software, or if you want to be able to print things as is. So I do a little bit of both. This is also how I make my dashboards for Patreon too, if you're on my doodle tier. And I'm just gonna give it a name, and then I will print it off. I use waterproof matte sticker paper from Online Labels. I have that linked in the shop if you are looking for the same paper that I use. It's a sort of like premium matte, and I like how it looks when I print pictures on it. I currently have an HP 7800 series printer. That's fairly new, but in general, I just tell my printer that I'm printing on matte photo paper, and then the quality ends up coming out a little bit nicer. But anyway, if you've been here this long, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon.